See, I just put blue in. Right.
The new blue?
Yeah. Okay, it's working.
All right.
That's pretty high.
Welcome everybody to Chef Night. How you doing, Chef? How are you tonight?
Hey, I'm doing great. About yourself?
I am doing wonderful. I am ready to learn not only how to make the Argentinian beef kebab, but also I'm dying to try your chimichurri.
The chimichurri sauce.
Chimichurri sauce. I've made it before and I make it slightly different, but this recipe.
So chimichurri is just a
awesome.
nice blend of oil, pepper, and fresh herb.
And any kind of fresh herb.
For the most part, absolutely. Yep. So you can go either way you want. Today we got some fresh cilantro and we got some mint we're gonna add to it. Some nice fresh garlic, crushed red pepper, olive oil. Pretty simple. It's nice and light and it's real fresh ingredients. So it's only to help enhance the beef skewers that we're gonna make.
Sometimes I put some shallots in there and maybe just a little bit of red pepper.
Just like with the rest of our recipes, you can pretty much add whatever you want to.
There you
It's
go.
the beauty of cooking is if you don't like it, don't put it in there.
And you know, as a matter of fact, speaking of not liking, Beth is not here with us yet. She will be with us soon, but she's not a super fan of coconut.
A lot of people are not a super fan of coconut. They say it's a texture thing. Some say
That's
it's,
what Beth
some
says.
say
a
it's a
texture
flavor thing. We're going to be making a coconut lime rice with no coconut. We're going to be using coconut milk, so we'll be able to have that flavor profile
But not the
without
texture.
the texture.
Perfect. Perfect. So we're gonna try a bunch of new stuff. And our cocktail.
Our cocktail,
Whoa, seems kind of crazy.
I thought so myself, a little Latino Americano style. What it is it's basically kind of a gin martini with grapefruit.
Okay,
Yeah,
I'm excited.
excellent.
Okay.
Well, if we're ready, let's get some mise en place going.
Wait a
so-
minute. Wait a minute.
What?
Did you see the new aprons, guys? We got the recipe, but the most important thing is that you get the recipe. So don't forget, every month,
That's right.
if you sign up ahead of time, we'll bring you not only the food, but one of these special custom aprons.
Because I got the recipe.
You do have the recipe.
All right.
And just one last thing. He's doing chef nights for other people. Last week you told me about a 4-course dinner that was out of this world.
Yeah, I had some people intrigued about the cooking events that we do every month, and they said, "Can you do this in my home?" I said, "Absolutely. What do you want to do?" They gave me full blanche of whatever I wanted to do. My only thing that I had to stay away from was shellfish. So I put together a nice 4-course meal, very elegant, kind of some tastes that you might not be familiar with, but make your mouth dance and make your belly smile. So,
There you go. Mouth dance and belly smile. I like that one.
that's right.
Okay, so mise en place means
Mise en
we
place.
got everything ready.
Well, it's all in its place, and we'll get it there as we get going. So first and foremost, if anyone's going to be grilling outside today, we want to make sure that our grill is turned on hot. Due to our class, we grill inside with the cast iron. It's going to give us the same style of thing. The only thing we're not going to get is that charcoal flavor if you're using charcoal, or that high flame of a gas grill to get that char. We'll still be able to achieve because we're using cast iron. If we were just using a regular nonstick pan, it's not going to give us the char that we're looking for in our beef.
Because the cast iron can handle a lot higher heat.
Absolutely.
Okay.
And retain that heat also like your grill will. So everyone get your grills turned on. If you're going to be grilling outside, you're going to want to get your skewers.
In the water.
That is
H2O.
correct. If you're going to be using some wooden skewers like this, you're going to want to get them soaking. You want to soak them for as long as possible. The reason being is once these catch on fire, you lose whatever it is they're holding on to eat your beef. So you don't want to catch them on fire. They will do okay out there, because we'll show you 2 techniques of kebabs or skewers. So one will be more like a traditional kebab with it being diced up and placed on the stick, or the skewer where the traditional ways where we'll cut slices and then weave it on.
Oh, the old.
That's right.
Yeah, I've had that.
So
in
if
many
we don't have
countries.
our sticks soaking in water, we're gonna want to get those in water.
Are ours in water?
Well, we won't need to because we're not gonna be on the open flame.
Okay, we're good.
We have some basmati rice. We have our coconut milk for our cilantro lime rice. Coconut there. We have some dry spices because what we're going to do is we're going to make a quick marinade for our beef. And it's all dried ingredients of our fresh ingredients of the chimichurri. The only thing we're leaving out is fresh basil. We're going to use mint instead of fresh basil.
Okay.
Kind of a little spin on that. A little olive oil, a little bit of vinegar, and some more dry spice there. We got the fresh cilantro, some fresh mint, of course, garlic. We can't cook without that. We have a pot over here ready to go for our rice when we get that far. I have 3 bowls. We're going to be making a dry spice, so we'll need one that's big enough but not too big for what we're going to do. You could use something about this size, would work just fine for the amount of spices we're using. My next size, well, we don't want to make a mess, and it's easier. Last time we showed with the marinade to use a whisk to help incorporate all the spices very, very well, so that way we don't leave anything clumped up during that process. We got another bowl for our chimichurri. So once we start mincing up these other ingredients and adding it to it, we'll then have that, because that's going to be a nice chunky salsa-like
And we just leave that at
Sauce.
room temperature, right? That's
Yeah,
what I do with mine.
absolutely.
Okay, perfect.
And then we have a nice big bowl that we're gonna be able to marinate our beef in. So if everyone's got their mise en place ready to go, then we can get started.
This is where he shows you some knife skills, ladies and gentlemen. This guy is good. So let's get ready. Make sure you.
So first and foremost, I think what we should do is let's get started with the cocktail. It is hot outside and quenching our thirst would be a good way to get going. So what we got here, we have some gin. We have some vermouth. And then we have this Mazakal, which is a liqueur. It's not a liqueur, but it is an agave spirit. So it is just like a tequila, but not tequila. So it's a derivative of tequila.
So it's gonna be white, like the.
It
tequila?
is.
Hi, everybody.
white.
Sorry, I'm a few minutes late.
Thank you for joining us, Ben.
Thank you. Just out showing property, so I'm happy to be back here in the kitchen.
So the color of it
It has
Is-
hints of cinnamon.
is blanco, so it is
Smell it.
clear. And it has a note of cinnamon.
Doesn't smell as
Strong,
strong.
exactly, right?
I'm like,
But it
It's not
is
like
as
it's
strong
kind of
because it
yeah.
is 80 proof, so it's
Okay.
definitely the same thing.
okay.
Okay,
Oh,
something different, right?
I love that.
We have nice, fresh.
And I love after a long
Ruby
day, I'm
red
gonna get to
grapefruit.
start with the cocktail.
Well, and the reason we're gonna start with our cocktail first is because we don't want to cross-contaminate. We want to quench everybody's thirst, so kill two birds with one stone.
Like it.
So we got highball glass. We're gonna want to fill these guys up with ice.
Perfect. I have to say, I don't know where Jennifer found this grapefruit, but this is like a beautiful grapefruit. Usually they're pretty white or yellow, excuse me, but this is pink and
A pink
orange.
grapefruit.
Yeah, it's
So a
so
little
good.
different than the ones that you would see. I'm wondering who's she.
It is ruby.
Oh, this one's a ruby red.
Ruby red. Okay, love that. I love the coloring of it.
And a ruby red grapefruit is gonna be a lot sweeter than your original grapefruit.
Okay, good to know.
So your grapefruit with the yellow rind is gonna have a more of a citrus flavor, like a lemon.
Absolutely.
As
Yes, it
opposed to
does.
the ruby red is gonna have more of a sweeter flavor like normal.
Okay,
So
love that. Love that.
we have some grapefruit soda.
Wow, never had that before. We're trying a lot of firsts here.
That's what we do.
I like it. And we get to start with the drink.
So what we're gonna do is we're gonna do 1 part gin. So basically,
And you're gonna mix it in there. We're not a shaker.
yep, we won't need to shake it. This is just a stir cocktail. The reason we can't shake is our soda.
Thank you.
So
Yeah,
we're
good
gonna
idea.
fizz. We don't wanna fizz all over the place.
That would be a problem.
So we're gonna, Go
You
ahead.
wanna, give out the measurement in ounces, so variability.
so on our
more like
recipe, it
equal
is milliliters. So it's gonna be 1 part of the Mazakal, 1 part vermouth to 2 parts gin. Is what our
So
measurements
15
will be.
milliliters to 30 milliliters. That's
Right.
really what it is. So as long as you're using the same thing to measure, it makes it simple, right? Because you can put 1 of each and then.
1 part,
double
2
of-
parts,
Yeah.
yep, and that's what makes that part easier. Some vermouth. Gotta be a fan of that. It's just a little dry for me, but I'm sure with this grapefruit, it's gonna be delicious. So then, once we got that in there, we're gonna top it off with some soda.
Well, it does have a little pink color to it.
We're gonna wanna give that a little stir here. If you could give that a stir for us, Beth.
Absolutely.
We're gonna do a nice wedge. What we're gonna want to do with this too is we're gonna wanna take off this big chunk
Of that rind.
of the rind because we don't want the pith. The pith is the white piece in here. This is
Yeah.
very, very bitter. So the outside would be our zest. The white part will be the pith. And we want to leave that bitterness out of our cocktail.
Got it.
And there you have it.
All right, I'm gonna sample away. Who else is gonna try with me? Cheers, everybody.
Couple people are waiting for you. They said it was delicious and very summer.
Oh, it is really delicious.
Yeah.
Really delicious.
Very summer. I like it.
Very summer. Who
Quench your
else is gonna
thirst.
try some here? And you're not gonna have that.
Okay.
Jen? All right, we're gonna share with Jennifer over here. She's got control.
So they leave the cameraman.
Jennifer gets to mark this and hamburger.
Oh. We even have a dog watching. Welcome to our home.
All right.
Perfect. Well, I'm really gonna sip on this. Jen, what do you think? Did you try it?
It is delicious.
Isn't it good? It's very good.
Nice and
Okay,
refreshing.
yum. Very refreshing.
All right. So
I've
next
asked
thing,
someone else, it's hot out there.
it is hot out there.
Shoot.
So let's get our dry spice going so we
Okay.
can get our marination going with our beef. Remember when we're
Perfect.
marinating, not to use a whole lot of olive oil or
Absolutely.
too much. Reason being is when we're working over that open flame on the grill, it's gonna flare up on you. It's only gonna burn and not caramelize. So we
Right.
want to caramelize. So we're gonna start off with a little bit of olive oil. We're gonna need a little bit of salt.
And we have our grill on.
We're gonna grill inside today.
Perfect. Got it. It's a little warm out there.
We have some basil leaves. We have some oregano. We got some paprika. We got some garlic powder.
If someone wants to know, what's the secret when you're trying to chop cilantro or mint when it's actually leafy?
So
I'm sure you're gonna
we
show
are gonna
some
cover that.
technique.
That's right. So when you're doing that, it's bunching it up and chopping it as close together, real fine, real simple. We'll show you two styles, I guess, of how to do it to make it a little easier for everybody. I tossed in a little bit of fresh garlic in there. We're gonna need just some more olive oil due to got a paste going, which isn't a bad thing, but we want it to be a little bit more liquidy. If you want, you could add a little bit of water into there. See how we just loosened it up a little bit?
Yep.
Because what we want is we want enough that's just gonna coat. Remember, we're not, when you brine, you're gonna fully submerge. When you're marinating, you just wanna coat it.
Absolutely.
So we're only just enhancing the flavor of what it is we're marinating. We're gonna do a little black pepper. And I think that's all the ingredients for that. And now that we got this. Nice little paste there. Okay, so moving right
Now,
along,
that doesn't look like a lot. So does a little go a long way?
especially because of the oil,
Okay.
right? So if you want, we could add a splash of water.
I'm just asking.
No,
Because it
you're
was
good.
like.
So then what we did was we loosened it up. See how it still has body,
Okay, yeah,
right? So now we just made it stretch even further
okay.
without adding more oil. It still has texture to it.
got
And
it.
it's not just loose
Like when it's
water.
watery, you're right.
Absolutely. So you don't want it to be too watery because you want it to coat, you want it to stick to whatever it is we're marinating.
Perfect. That's what I was thinking. I was like, wow, how do you get all that, all of that?
So now moving right along here to our beef. You grab our bowl here.
What kind of beef are we starting with tonight?
We are gonna be
It's a top
using
sirloin, right?
some top sirloin steak. Mhm.
And why is that for a selection when you're doing the skewers?
You need something that's gonna be firm. You're gonna need something that's gonna have some type of tenderness to it. We're gonna be tenderizing right here, so that's part of this process here.
Okay,
A ribeye is gonna be real fatty,
right.
meaning that the marbleization is gonna be super fatty in here. So
Yep.
this one's got some, but not a whole lot. You wouldn't want to use anything like a fillet, just because it's not gonna get, there's not enough marbling of fat when you're gonna do a skewer.
Okay,
So you're gonna want to save a fillet to do a steak with that. So these guys are gonna be quick and fast, and that's what helps them stay tender, is that we quickly cook them and then let them rest a little bit. So we're gonna cook them to about medium rare and let them rest, so that way all those juices will maintain in the muscle of the meat.
gotcha.
Got that in there. So there's a couple ways we can do this. One, like I said, we're gonna want to trim off any unnecessary fat. So like this guy here, we're definitely gonna want to take this out of there, because we're not gonna want to chew on that. We put that into our skewer and we're not gonna be able to chew it. It's just gonna chew and chew and chew. So this piece that I'm cutting out here,
There's too much fat.
there's and it's part of a ligament, so it has silver skin on it. Silver skin, no matter how much you cook it, it's never gonna chew. So this piece here, that's what this is the silver skin. You see how
yeah.
fine?
Yep. And that's just, you're just gonna keep chewing on it.
Yep, no matter what you do to it, you'll never be able to cook that. So we just wanna take that piece off. So you wanna make sure that you remove any of that silver skin from any meat that you're cooking, on any pork or any beef. You won't find any on chicken. But. So then this guy will just tear apart pretty nicely. And this guy coming out here. So now we're ready to go. So we can leave it in a chunk like this.
Mhm.
This is a little too small for what we're doing. We want to have a nice chunk
Right,
like this,
right, that's a better size.
So when you're adding vegetables to your kebabs, you want to make sure that everything's similar in size.
Size, got
right?
it.
The reason being is
Okay,
the cooking ratio, not the cooking ratio, the cook times of every individual thing. So a mushroom, a bell pepper, an onion, pineapple, whatever it is you're putting on your skewer, all have different cook times.
Hmm.
Onion's gonna cook a lot faster than a bell pepper. The mushroom, depending on where it's located, is gonna cook even faster than that.
and
So-
make the slowest.
Right. So with this, we're gonna try to go in a nice straight line right down that, so that way we can get some uniformity in the chunks of our beef. See how they're roughly all about the same size? That means they're all gonna cook relatively the same. Try to do this again here. And they're not gonna have to be too exact, but we do want them to be close enough so that way, like we said, you don't get one piece that's well done and one piece that's medium rare.
Right,
So coming down into here. So there's our nice chunks there.
got it.
So then on this next guy, what we're gonna do. This guy's a little bit thicker, so that's not. for this process.
Now, is this that layer you were talking about right there?
So right here is a nice, good example. See how there's fat and then underneath it, there's this silver skin.
Right, you want
Which
to
then-
slice that off like that?
Which
Yeah.
then, once you can cut underneath it, your knife will now just take that off and leave the meat.
So you get maximum meat,
Yep.
basically.
So if you just run it, the tip of your
Oh,
knife right on
interesting.
there, how you'll know whether it's silver skin or it's fat, the fat will pull right off and the silver skin won't. You'll have to work it off of the muscle of
Got
the
it.
meat.
That came off easy though.
Like you'll see on a beef tenderloin or a pork tenderloin, there'll be a nice fat strip of that silver skin that you'll be able to get off nicely. So we had some here. So these guys, we're gonna cut into strips. Nice strips so we can weave them back and forth off of the skewer. Nice 2-inch long strips like that we can use. We're gonna go a little bit longer. We're gonna actually, instead of cutting this way, we're gonna cut this way so that that way we can weave more on there, you know, for the process of what we're doing. We're gonna be able to cook more in less time.
So I have a question.
Yes.
So is the sirloin different than, I guess, like the flake and stuff that where you have to put it in, right?
You want to cut all meat against the grain technically, because what happens is that when you cut with the grain, when you go to chew, the membranes of the tissue are not then broken apart. So if it's not tenderized enough, it won't chew very well. So the grain like this, so when we go to chew this, we're going to be chewing against that grain.
Okay.
Like when you're cutting corned beef, you're always going to want to cut that again. So we got nice strips here. And we're going about a 1/4 inch thick, just so that that way it's going to be a nice, quick cooking process. There you go. One more strip here. Voila. And then this guy's going to be able to skewer nicely like this on our stick,
Wow.
right?
Mm-hmm.
As opposed to the little guy, we're going to be here all day trying to
Get that to
exactly.
happen.
Mhm. Let's go
Look
ahead
at
and
that, very creative. Never
get
thought
this
about
in
doing it
here.
that way.
So it is, right? All presentation. I wouldn't
Absolutely.
do this presentation if you're adding vegetables. I
Okay.
would stick to this one. Because in
Right.
that way, then you fit everything on your stick to make a nice kebab. If we're gonna do just the beef, like we're gonna do today, then this one will work better. It's a better presentation when you go to plate.
Oh, very nice.
So give this guy a stir, because as it's thick, it will thicken a little bit. Pour it in. Like that. Give it a nice stir here. Keep our cubes separate from our strips. Just want to mix that around. So you typically want, when you're marinating meat, you want to do about 20 minutes. The
Room
longer
temperature
the
or-
longer the better. So the longer you're gonna marinate, throw it in the refrigerator, pull it out 15 minutes before you're gonna cook it, so it can then come back up to temperature. For right now, leaving it right on the counter will work just fine, because we're gonna be utilizing it quickly.
Really quickly.
Yep.
Got it.
So the longer you marinate, the more flavor profile you build, the more tender the meat will become. So this here.
Well, it looks really good. How's everybody doing over there? Anybody ahead of us? I know you started the drinking early, but is everybody caught up? Am I getting thumbs up in the chat room?
You got it.
Perfect.
You got any questions? Any other questions so far?
All right. Going to the grill.
Okay.
Now we're going to the grill.
So what we want to do next is let's get our rice going. Rice is going to take about 15 to 20 minutes to
Okay.
cook. So as we're doing that and we're getting our skewers, we should be right about on time to finish up. So I got a nice sized pot here
Great.
that we're going to be adding our coconut milk, our basmati rice, and our lime juice and cilantro.
I love that we're doing this differently. We've never made it this way, so I'm excited to see how we're gonna do it.
So when you're working with coconut milk, you always want to shake it beforehand. Because what happens is, as it sits on the shelf, it re-solidifies. So the fats that are in here will create this cap above the liquid, and you'll have this big old fat cap, which it's not fat, but it's just
It's
solidified
separated.
coconut milk. I guess it would be the fat of the coconut. So we're gonna do 2 cups of coconut milk, 1 cup of water.
Okay, here's another question.
Yeah.
More in
Hi, Martin.
vacuum infusers. So it looks like he actually uses one.
So using a vacuum infuser, right? So what happens is when you suck out all the air in a bag to pull in, what you're doing is you're just squeezing in the flavor in your other marinade. So recommending by doing that.
So are we talking vacuum packing the meat?
Yes.
Okay, sorry, just wanted to
So
understand.
like what happens is you're pulling air out, but you're also sucking the liquid into the at the same time. So you're extracting the air of the bag,
Right,
which then is forcing the
Everything into the meat.
liquid and all that to bind with the muscle more so and pack it in as much as possible.
so would you say it's speeding up the process?
It would be speeding up the process.
Okay,
So,
nice tip, Morgan.
so what we're gonna do is, as we're heating that up, real quickly.
So we kind of have it on like a medium temperature?
Yep, we're gonna wanna bring it to a boil, but then we're gonna turn it down and, roughly get there pretty quickly. We don't wanna boil the heck out of it, but we do wanna get it up fast.
Gotcha. Obviously, water for after you have the meat on there.
Yes. We don't wanna cross contaminate. The reason being is we're gonna be making our chimichurri and it'll be raw, so we're not gonna cook it. So now to quickly touch on Steve's question from earlier about chopping the cilantro.
Oh, let's
How do we get our herbs to chop finely so we're not messing around? So I've already taken all the big stems off of. Basically, where all the stems start on the cilantro is where I just rip them off. You can cut it off, whichever works easiest for you. And then what you're gonna do is when working with cilantro, you don't have to really worry about the stems too much, as opposed to if you're doing the mint, basil, parsleys, because these aren't so big and bulky like on those other herbs, but these also cook down pretty well. So as opposed to a parsley stem, this is going to cook down okay, so that we don't
So
have
you're
to
taking
do
some of the longer stems off,
the thicker one.
thicker.
Yep.
Okay.
Just so then that way we don't have to. And we'll chop, as you see, when we chop. So the last thing you want is to have that guy left over,
Right.
If you want to spend the time to just pull the leaves off, by all means, you might
Pick them all off.
Yeah, you might get. I'm not going to stop you.
Now.
So
how do
once
chop
you
it?
get them from here, what I do is I'll then kind of roll it all together into a ball. Make it as nice and as tight as possible. And then once you get it into that little ball, you'll then cut as close together as possible. So every knife stroke isn't moving at all. My finger is barely moving at all to make a cut on the herb itself. So using the claw technique, keeping the thumb behind the fingers and just using that flat spot of your fingers as the guide for your knife. Once you get this far, it now then is easier to really mince it up. And the mince is the more you chop, the more it breaks down.
Right.
So this, we're gonna go right on into our water coconut milk mixture.
Whoa. Low on. Oh, you lifted up, that's good. We caught that in the nick of time. I'm not a good assistant. I was not paying attention. I'm sorry, chef.
You're all right. Okay, so let's add our rice.
Don't do that. Learn from
It's hot.
me not watching. But boy, that cilantro with the coconut milk, I'm really starting to create an aroma now.
Definitely. So we're gonna go a cup of rice.
There's one here.
So chef, with that form, what's your metric?
What I did was I just basically felt like what it was gonna be in a handful in my hand and I eyeballed it. Spot. So typically, when I did my dry ingredients, I put everything in right next to each other. That was all about a teaspoon or a tablespoon of each.
That's a lot of practice. Someone like me, measure it out, put it in.
So a teaspoon is like a nickel size, so like a thumb size in the center of your palm.
Okay,
And then a tablespoon is gonna be pretty much a $half size in the center of your palm. And then a cup's gonna be, roughly pretty much,
like that.
that's about a cup. So 1, 2, kind of what I just gauged right there.
It's
My
nice
meth-
to know there's a method.
my methods of measurement.
Well, people are so very with price, like other stuff is fine, but price.
Yeah, because you want to have a certain liquid rice ratio.
So once you get your liquid in and your rice is flat across the bottom, if you put your finger in, you do this is the measured method,
Mhm.
is all the way up to that first knuckle right there.
Should be the rice.
Basmati is a little less, so it's gonna be just the fingernail. Because basmati cooks faster than your typical
And
long
is it
grain.
expand form?
Not as much, no.
Okay.
It like stretches, it doesn't puff up so much.
Okay, got it.
All right, so from there, let's turn this down, boy. And it is simmering, so we want it to simmer.
Got it.
We're gonna need to add our lime now. So we're gonna need the juice of a lime, but we're gonna need the zest of lime. We have a zester. Has anyone worked with these before?
I have. How about you guys?
This is a good tool to have. What
Okay.
happens is you just run it on your
On the rind.
to get just the zest. See, I'm just pulling just the green off of there. That's what we're gonna use. You don't want to get into the pith because once you get into it, it's gonna be bitter. We just want this vibrant lime flavor. So we're gonna do that. If you do not have a zester like such, then what I do is I just take my knife and basically just shave it off as finely as you can, trying to leave the white on. If you get a little in there, don't panic, but you don't want to try to get a big chunk in it. So if you were to cut this guy in half like such, if you were to cut it off like this, you would then see that you could.
Get a little more.
It makes it a little easier to get a nice finer cut. Like I'm cutting a honeydew, I would cut a take the rind off a honeydew and cantaloupe just like that.
Really? Seems so much thicker.
Have a nice flat spot. See, and you see all I'm doing is just following around.
Right, you're curving it.
So once you get there, then it is into the chop.
Boy, zest, you can really smell it. It's
And is
a
it?
lot of flavor.
And boy, does it have a lot of
It
flavor.
has a
in it.
lot of flavor.
So like if you're making,
And we, most of the time, right, we're only using the juice, which is so shameful because the zest has a ton of flavor.
way more than
The
juice. Yeah.
Right?
So we have the zest of our one
I
lime.
wonder if you could put that zest like in your margarita.
You could, if you want to pick it out of your teeth.
Oh, I guess that's right, because then it would be in your teeth, but it would give it more flavor.
If you're using the zester, it would be fine enough that it wouldn't
Wouldn't do
really
that.
matter. Right.
Because it's just so much flavor. I
Oh,
feel like you're always getting rid of it.
absolutely. But we definitely want to capture all that.
Yep. And the juice. Well, I am a
Give
person
that
that
a good
I don't
stir.
like coconut, so I'm hoping I like this.
Well, you're all about just the texture of the coconut.
Yes, that, and I don't mind the flavor.
And not
So-
actually the flavor. So most of the people are real finicky about the flakes of the coconut, not actual the flavor of the
Cause I can drink a pina colada, that's for
then,
sure.
then you like the flavor. So let's add a little bit of water.
Jennifer's over there laughing at my comment. Not that I have one all the time, rarely. Oh, so why do we need more water
See
now?
how you
There's
see
a little
how
thick?
our liquid is being absorbed by that
Right.
ice quickly? Because our heat was so high.
Gotcha.
Should get us going there.
Do we still keep it on a low simmer?
We want to keep it on a low simmer. Traditionally, you would put a lid on it. It would take a little bit more time. We're just gonna keep the lid off and keep an eye on it. You do want to stir rice. Like pasta, it will release starch. So as it releases those starches, it's gonna want to stick to itself.
Right.
So by stirring it, breaks it up and allows it not to create big old clumps.
So don't leave it alone, stir it occasionally.
Yep, occasionally stir it. All right, now moving right along, we got that. We got our beef marinating. We can dive into our chimichurri.
All right, now Steve makes a great chimichurri. We're gonna see, we always should have like a chimichurri.
Want a chimichurri off?
Chimichurri off. Because.
Whose idea was the
chimichurri's
chimichurri
pretty
off?
good.
I think that was not bad idea.
The chimichurri off.
You know what? I think we can make it over.
I think
Some
there's
fresh
a-
herb, spice,
Absolutely.
So what it is it's oil, fresh herbs, and some vinegar. And that's it. It's really all.
And then whatever spices.
Whatever, not dry spice. So the difference between herbs and spices, herbs are fresh,
Fresh. Okay.
spices are gonna be dry.
Okay,
So if we were using the spice of cilantro is gonna be coriander.
got
The mint would be a dry mint, basil, see dried leaves, oregano. So if we were using fresh oregano, fresh basil, we could definitely add it to our chimichurri.
gotcha.
So you want to use herbs because this is fresh, nice and
And
vibrant.
that's really what a chimichurri is, right? It's a
Exactly.
very fresh,
It's like the
salsa.
salsa. Yeah, absolutely. It's a tomato-less salsa.
What's the fridge like?
On a chimichurri, as long as it's refrigerated, you're talking 7 to 10 days. Easy.
really.
Easy.
We always throw ours away within 2.
And the longer it sits, the more it marinates, the more
Good to know.
robust flavor is gonna be thrown out, right? So,
If it coagulates, do I have a little much oil in it?
so when you refrigerate it, the oil is going to solidify. It is gonna firm up a little bit, pull it back out, room temperature, microwave for 5-8 seconds, and they'll break that down.
Oh,
So
good
then
to
that way
know.
you'll be able to use it again. When using different oils, lots of oils are blended. If you're using a 100% extra virgin olive oil, it's not gonna solidify like that.
Okay.
So the blended oils have palmase in it. That's what causes the fat, so to speak,
This
to
was fun.
solidify. Mhm.
I like that. Oh, we probably should have. I like that what you said, we can do 8 to 10 seconds in the microwave, to bring it down to make it.
Yeah, and you just do it in increments. So if 8 works, if 10 works, then
Right.
fine. If you gotta do a couple more, just do them in small increments at a time. Because you're not wanting to heat it, you just want to break that down so
Right.
that it's nice and loose instead of chunky when you go to use it.
Absolutely. That's why I think we thought we couldn't use it that long. So 7 to 10 days is great.
So we're gonna turn our grill on so we can get it nice and hot. So when we go to sear, we're gonna be able to sear and cook and make it delicious. All right. So we got our fresh cilantro. We're gonna need some of this. Take out any big stems. If anyone has a food processor, the best way to do it is in a food processor because it's able to incorporate everything. What you would do is you would put your garlic and your other herbs inside of there, and then you would pulse it, try to break it up, And then you would add your vinegar. Once you add your vinegar, you're gonna turn it on. Once it's on, you would slowly pour in your oil. What's gonna happen is that's gonna help coat everything and combine it all at an equal ratio, right? So that's a good way to do it. It's the same way you would make salad dressing.
Yep, gotcha.
So we're gonna need a bunch of cilantro. I'm gonna show you this technique again. Ball it all up. Pinch it.
It makes it look so easy.
When you've been doing it for a while, it becomes
This
easy.
looks so easy.
But I know it's not that easy. I like the idea of balling it up though. I never would have thought of that.
Yeah, it's you can sit here and we can chop away and chop away and chop away and chop away, and we'll be here for an hour. But once you ball it up and start chopping it finely like that,
It really makes it.
it makes it easy. Yeah. So then, like mint and basil, you could take this is called a chiffonade, and then you would roll them up like this, your leaves like that, and then you would slice, same thing. And then you have these nice long thin strands of the herb that you're looking for. So you're going to use leafies like this. Basil and mint work well for that, so that way you can get that, go across, then chopped up, ready to roll. Ooh, smell that mint. Having a sharp knife always does help too. So you're cutting and not crunching. So one thing about lettuce, you know how your lettuce oxidizes, it turns brown,
Yeah.
is because it's crunching and not cutting. If you're cutting through your lettuce, won't oxidize as quickly. You're crunching and it breaks the membrane of the lettuce. The rib that would be the one that oxidizes the fastest, and that's what causes it to oxidize quicker. If you cut your lettuce, throw it into water for a minute, stir it around, strain it out, you just rehydrated the lettuce, added that water to it, it'll help it from oxidizing so quick.
What about putting an avocado in water?
It'll grow an avocado. So you can
To keep it fresh.
you can put an avocado in water. What would be better is to use something acidic. So like lime juice, you could use a little bit of vinegar and just rub it on the outside of it.
An
Keeping-
avocado.
So to keep it fresh,
Yeah.
so as it sits out like melons and other fruit, it's releasing gases. As it releases those gases at a room temperature, it ripens faster.
Right, so you put it in the fridge.
And it will last longer. Correct, at a riper stage.
Right.
Once you cut into that, it's then going to begin to oxidize, turn brown on you. By keeping the seed of the avocado in the half of avocado, it'll help keep it fresh as well.
Gotcha.
We're going to need to add a little bit of water. Just to loosen this up a little bit. All right. We're going to add some garlic to this guy. We're going to add some red wine vinegar. We're going to need cumin. And a little salt. Pepper. Stir. Get 'em.
You want me to stir that?
We're gonna get a fork, so that way we can break up the chunkiness of these herbs and stuff. We're gonna some crushed red pepper in here. Some more olive oil.
I love the smell of that.
So see how we've got it? It's pretty pasty, but it's still loose.
Right.
So when you move it, it kind of falls together, but it sticks.
Right.
So that's what's gonna help, and that's what you're looking for. So when you do it in your food processor, it breaks it down really, really fine. You wanna leave it kind of chunky like this. You don't want it to be too fine, because then it's just gonna turn into a salad dressing.
Right.
And you wanna leave it kind of chunky like this.
Has anybody tried theirs yet? Any of their chimichurri? I know we're probably running a little behind. Some of you get a little early start. Has anyone tried that yet? To tell us what you think of it. I know it's one of my favorites. Steve makes it all the time for us and I love it. Wanted to shout out a couple people. Christina, if you're out there, wanted to say hello. And Jamie, thank you for joining. We love having you guys sign on each week and great seeing you again. And Morton, thank you for bringing your whole family to join us. We love it.
All right.
Wow, that
We
looks
got
great.
some chimichurri here.
Does it look better than mine, Beth?
You know, it actually looks a little bit different.
That looks great. Very nice.
Oh, we have plating from Jillian.
Very
Thank you
good.
for sharing.
All right, moving right along to our beef.
Oh,
So when we're building our skewers, or we're building kebabs, we want to remember not to overcrowd it, because we need it to cook all around, as opposed to just on one side and just on the other side.
right.
So when we leave some spacing, and you have to leave too much spacing, but just enough, so that way it'll be able to cook evenly
Right.
around as it's out there on the grill. And another thing about kebabs is don't place pineapple next to chicken.
Oh, why is that? Acidity?
The acidity of the pineapple makes your chicken rubbery.
Oh, that's interesting.
So if you've eaten a chicken skewer and it has that kind of rubbery, gritty taste to it,
Because there was a pineapple touching it.
it's crazy.
Interesting.
Just one of those things. How it works.
Onion, green pepper, no problem.
Yep, those work just fine. And you want to marinate all that too, because the more you marinate, the more flavor you get, the better
All the
your
way around.
kebabs are. Absolutely.
So would you just toss it in the same bowl for marinating or separate bowl?
I would do a separate one. Reason being is technically, if you're gonna cook it right away, it should be fine, because it's not gonna be able to, we're not gonna allow it to have the opportunity to grow any bacteria, and then we're cooking it immediately. So therefore, if any bacteria were to be a part of that, we're cooking it off immediately.
Gotcha. Do it again? Do you need a couple more? You got it. Greasy hand.
So then with these guys, what you're
I know,
gonna
that's
wanna
kind of
do
fun. Makes it a little more
is
fun.
it's just kind of accordion style.
But is that gonna cook quicker than the chunks? Yes, right? Thinner.
Because it's thinner. Mhm.
So you'll cook the larger pieces that first?
Yeah, if like
you were
you're gonna
making
do
them
that, so
together.
then once you get them on here and you go ahead and lay it out,
Right, they're
then that way
definitely
it's
thin.
basically just like that. So then that way,
I feel like it
boom,
looks like beef.
there's
jerky.
your skewer, right?
Right, I mean, it does. It's kind of like a turkey in a way.
yeah.
Satay.
Is that what it is? Satay?
The chicken satay.
Okay, see how much I know.
You okay?
I think we have to do both of them.
Oh, that's fun.
Mhm.
I feel like it would cook quicker and easier this way.
We've got Christina sharing her plate.
Awesome.
Everybody has a different twist, so,
So what does hers look like?
Christina did the cute, and it looks like she added red bell peppers or tomatoes, I'm not sure,
Nice.
and onions.
Oh, so a skewer with the veggies.
Mhm.
Fabulous. And then what did you think of your chimichurri? How did that turn out? Did anybody try the chimichurri yet with their steak? Skewers?
You've only got it on the plate. You didn't get to taste it yet.
Oh,
Alright, so these guys, like that. And then all we do is take them to the grill.
Fantastic.
We're gonna want to
and wash
show
your
you
hands.
another quick trick.
Feeling like we need a little more water.
More.
Yeah, if it's too thick, we would just add some water, right?
Probably getting real close to it being done.
And it does look like longer grain.
Yeah, the last one.
Mm-hmm. But not as puffy, like you said.
Another quick little trick here is
Mm-hmm.
take paper towel,
Right, so you don't have too much oil.
especially if you're working on your grill outside. And you oil up your grates, so that way it helps it from sticking.
We're nice and hot. And you can hear that sizzle.
So I would typically do with cubes about this big. It's gonna be, you're talking a minute on each side and a total of 6 minutes. 8's the longest, right? Because even 8's gonna be still kind of pushing too much. I'll show you here in a second. We can see how fast. it's cooking.
Wow. That's because you're starting with it hot.
Yep. See how fast those ones are going. That guy is almost done.
Yeah, there's a difference. For sure. When do you turn that on?
Correct. Grab a spoon and we'll see. We're ready. It's gonna need to simmer a little longer.
Heating my water. Need a little bit longer.
Tender, a little longer.
Yeah. Do I need water? Couple. But it's not too, it's the front one.
Yeah.
feet out flat. What's gonna allow that. More feet. See how we're cooking. Right. As it's finished up,
We have seen a big change. You know, I come up here and talk about that with me. A lot of noise over there. Thank you, guys. So the market has shifted. So maybe about 9 weeks ago, we've seen just a dramatic change from just really approaching to a buyer's market or seller's market. So the days of 20 offers on a property are not happening right now.
But
And
let's clarify it. Okay, because a lot of people listen to the news and hear doom and gloom and think, oh my gosh, I have to sell. So we're at 47 days on the market as far as inventory. A balanced market means it's not a seller's market, not a buyer's market. It's when we have 6 months inventory in the resale world. So right now we're approaching, we were at 17 days. We've now gone to 47 days in literally 30 days.
right.
So we now have more homes on the market. That gives buyers more choices.
That was gonna be my next point. It's a great opportunity to buy, and because our prices have appreciated so much,
Over the
We're
last 2
still-
years, you've made your money.
we're still getting great money. We're not going to keep accelerating at the pace we were because that wasn't even reasonable,
And it wasn't healthy.
right? So we're actually still up there, but we're not gonna be growing that. So it's still a great time to sell.
And
a
here's the
great time
deal,
to buy.
guys. It's also a great time to buy a new home. Because builders have gone from lines, lotteries, and lists, which wasn't really good for them, it wasn't good for you. Now you can do your own lot. You might have some incentives. You have some buy down in the interest rate. And here's the deal, guys. When it comes to the economy, the reason the Feds have raised the interest rates is to just stymie inflation, to slow it down a little.
They're trying to slow down our spending.
Slow down our spending and make it more expensive to spend. Once that happens, then the market stalls a little bit, and then they want to accelerate the market, and they'll do the same thing that they've done in the past and lower the interest rates back down. So if you're looking to buy a home and stay in it for even 3 to 5 years, the longest recession in the history of the United States is 18 months. 18 months.
So if you bought today and we have a lower interest rate later, we can refinance.
Absolutely.
What a great opportunity to buy at today's prices. And I think something key that you said was builders are offering incentives right now. We haven't seen incentives in 2.5 years with the builder. So it's a great opportunity to go in and purchase a new home.
And buy through us, because when you buy through us and sell through us, we get a discount. And it doesn't have to be a brand new home. We work with resales, we work with new homes, we help if you want to buy an investment property, if you want to build your portfolio, maybe do a BBRO or an Airbnb, we can help you with all of that.
Absolutely. And we also want to talk to you about the tax advantages when you do have an investment property. So give us a call if you want to talk about any of those things. We'd love to chat with you.
Thank you very much. And back to the cooking.
All right, back to the rice. And how the skewers looking?
Skewers are turning out nicely.
Our rice is looking good.
Get that test out there on the
Over there. Okay. Let me get it shot. Get it first.
Nice and tender. Flash bulletin, guys. We always try and keep you up to date on what's going on in the market. If you buy a home, it's an inventory home, it's ready to go within the next 2 to 3 months. Pulte Homes is offering up to discount on this. So guys,
That's
we
amazing.
always have the update for you. We know exactly what's going on out there. We have 7 to 10 agents in the field every single day, right?
Every day.
So if you guys want a great deal out there, now's the time to buy.
All right, we're cooking. What if I know when my skewers done and I don't want to overcook it? Because I really don't want, I like my medium rare.
So as you see right here,
Yeah.
see how we're losing blood right there?
Yeah,
Here we're still a little pink.
Yeah.
Because it wasn't able to touch that, but we're getting that. See how we're raw there?
yeah.
So you just got to keep an eye on it. So I've been flipping them back and forth because our hot spot's right here. But then you touch this guy is pretty rare still.
Yeah.
Right there. But then this guy's getting closer and closer. So then all I do is I put them off that. So put that that way. Yeah. Get that skin on there.
Right, because it's not exactly flat.
Yeah. That you all that the red the top of the bottom.
Right.
Remember, you can use a thermometer if you're not used to it, or just remember red, and that's well done. So red, all done. Firmness of that tissue there, how you'll be able to tell. It's done this stuff. But yeah, as you see, it's the flat cooks a lot faster than these ones, and that's why it's important to make sure that they are similar in size and that there's an even keel across. That's really help you determine that one's not well done and one's not great.
Serving dinner, someone's got something rare.
For your scarce people,
It does.
you know, a nice medium rare is really what you're looking for. You're getting rare, that's an acquired taste. Some people like it raw, Pittsburgh style, where it's just seared on both sides. That's it.
Wouldn't you say you're gonna get a better medium rare out of that than the flat?
Yeah, because this is gonna seal in the juices a lot better than this one. But that's why we're keeping an eye on so that when we don't make it, so that way we can make that rare to that little well. Now that our skewers are just about ready here, our rice is ready to go. We can cut that guy, cut out some of the noise there.
My drink is just about empty.
Round 2. Like you say, it's always a presentation, right?
Always presentation. When is that? Oh, that's our presentation. We're working on the presentation. Yeah,
Combo,
same
right?
thing.
So not only are we presenting, we're gonna be adding flavor. So now we're gonna have an option to have a nice fresh lime juice that's been grilled already to create a different flavor profile and only add to our dish.
I love it.
Char for it. This guy's ready to come over here. We got a plate ready to
Plate
go.
ready to go.
How about those shears, those kitchen shears, sir? We can cut these guys. No, that guy doesn't work. Yeah, this one's gonna be. This other one's down.
Oh, that big one?
Yeah, those guys. There we go.
You need a real A real,
Let me
Heavy
see your
duty.
finger.
oh, I see, we've got the stick. There you go. There you go. That's what we use for our crab.
It works.
It does work.
Right? It works.
They're clean.
So, what we want to do. Say if you could take a measuring cup. This rice would mold nicely, so you could take a measuring cup and put it into a measuring cup and stick it down on the plate,
Okay.
and it'll stay in that nice little form mold that we're looking for that guy.
I love that idea. So you just take something out of your kitchen cabinet, something like so, then pop it down.
We'll reverse it. Right. So all we did was scooped it in here,
Yeah.
and then you're gonna want to press it down like
Okay.
this.
So anything out of your cabinet, perfect.
Mhm.
Can be a bowl,
Slamming two things together is hard because we don't want to break one.
right? Oh,
But
see.
then now we have a
Okay,
nice
I
little
love
mold,
that.
right?
There you go. Great tip.
So as big as you want it, as small as you want it.
Yep, love it.
And then for these guys, we're gonna kind of go a little offside here. So that way the rice is a focal point, but the skewers are a focal point. We're gonna put this here. We're gonna need a spoon for our chimichurri.
We have a dog present. Ooh, that looks great. Smells good too.
Just want to get enough on a little bit. Don't want to go too heavy because it is just a compliment, right?
Right. Light sauce.
Yeah. A little fresh mint from our friend over here.
Like it. Voila.
And
Love
just like
it.
that, you got your beef skewers with some coconut lime rice. Beautiful.
Looks delicious.
Anyone have any questions?
I don't know about anyone else out there, but I am excited to try this. I want to get my notes here about our next cooking event. We have jalapeno bacon cheddar burger,
What?
July 28th. That's pretty amazing. And a pomegranate mojito. Love that. Something totally different. And on August 18th, we're going to have a spinach, tomato, and feta salmon, which is
Oh,
actually going to be
that's
my favorite.
My favorite.
And then we're going to pair that with some wine. So
Is a
looking forward to
beautiful
it.
dish with that salmon, that feta cheese sauce, and
Love
fresh
feta.
spinach and tomatoes, just incredible.
I think I could eat salmon every day of the week, but I would love to try
That
I'm super
recipe,
excited.
that recipe right there is try that for those who don't like salmon. Salmon is
Oh.
very fishy. A lot of people, it's very powerful flavor, so that, oh, no way.
So
That
maybe
right-
the kids could try it.
That
someone
right
who doesn't like it.
there, it will definitely. Come on, I could go with that one.
All right, I
Mhm.
like that. So that's gonna be August 18th. So we're excited about that. I would love for you guys to send in some photos. Tell us how you guys did with your dish. We would love to see it. Anything else we need to add for tonight?
We're also looking at doing a kids night with kids recipes for dessert.
Oh,
Yeah.
that would be great. Would you guys want to put in the chat box, anyone that would like to join us for kids dessert? And have the kids in the kitchen. So we'll do a kids night. It'll be a lot of fun.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, thank you so much for joining. I'm Beth Ryder with Chef Jude, Steve Ryder, Aaron, and Jennifer, everyone helping out tonight. We really appreciate it. And everybody, bon appetit.
I got the recipe. Rider Elite Team.